there. Could you just tell me what you're doing in my cleaning store here at the moment? I don't really make appointments, especially with the likes of people like you. People normally come in directly from the game store next door. That's the normal etiquette. Yeah, they get all of their gaming equipment or their game-related items cleaned, pristinely looked after and cared for by me, an expert in cleaning tech stuff for myself, the enjoyment of the owner, as well as the actual thing that's being cleaned as well. I give it a new lease of life. To do all of those things, you have to book in advance, and obviously not be you. You brought in some items and dropped them off earlier. But that wasn't you here who left. Let me get it out here for you. This pile of junk, is this yours? Did you leave that and drop it outside my store with a note saying, please clean me, I'll be ready to collect at such and such time tonight? What kind of cleaning store do you think this is? What kind of editor do you think that is? What a complete pile of junk that you bought in. Do you think that I can clean a lost cause like that? Let's take a little closer inspection here. Right. So what have you bought in here? Ah, yes, the PlayStation quadruple multiplayer connection. This is a Joytech multiplayer adapter. Okay, so that is collected dust for quite a substantial amount of years, I can see. Yeah, that would probably need a very thorough clean. Very expensive. Okay, oh my goodness. So normally, if anyone but you, bought in something like this, I'd be incredibly excited because this is pure retro, awesome tech stuff. This is basically nostalgia personified. The hours which has been spent playing on PlayStation 2 games is immeasurable. That is very exciting in of itself. However, it comes from you, so it really does tarnish whatever you bring in, and the pure and utter filth on this really is not a pretty sight to look at. So if you'd like to take a little closer inspection here, and I'll tell you, like all around the crevices here, you could just see dust build up over a century ago. Okay, it's not so much around the buttons because those have been used, but around the crevices here of the button, underneath the buttons there as well. And the thing is with PlayStation 2 controllers is that because it's wired, that also collects grime and dirt, so that would need a thorough clean. Now, no doubt you've spilled countless drinks, snacks and everything you binged on whilst you was playing, so that has no doubt accumulated in the top of these buttons here, which of course can make or break a PlayStation controller. So I think yours is manageable there, but it looks disgusting. Okay, let's have another nice little affirmation look here for you. So around the edges and the crevices here, you could see where you probably haven't washed your hands or been hygienic enough when you actually used to play PlayStation 2 games. So you have collected, instead of the sink collecting it, your PlayStation controller has collected these unwanted dirty objects, and it's accumulated around the crevices here, and it's accumulated around the crevices here. It's also accumulated around the crevices there, the edges, even on the holes here to access your controller. Okay, which it's not a pretty sight at all, is it? You could see around on the imprints here it's got minor dust around there, so that's workable. But what you seem to have brought me here, apart from doing the criminal offence of tangling all your PlayStation wires up, is a very dirty PlayStation 2 controller. But it gets worse, I see. This one even has lumps of dirt on it, which is something I haven't seen there before, which is incredibly disgusting and very, very dirty. No doubt you spilled God knows what on there, and it just looks really unsightly. This is not a good way to treat prized equipment and something you still love. Is this how you treat the things that you love? It's not very pretty sight at all, is it? No, not a good way to carry on at all, is it? No. What do you mean? That's why I bought it here. Yes, but at the end of the day, it's my decision whether I want to clean it. So remember what I said about the build-up of dirt within the buttons can make or break a PlayStation controller. Well, on this occasion, it seems to have broke your PlayStation controller because your R2 button appears to not have any function whatsoever. Okay, so that's probably not going to be doable there for you, which is such a shame because I hate to see old equipment like this unused and not looked after. It should be cherished and appreciated for the time that it gave you all of those good times. So that's a complete and utter disgusting mess. And what we have here, notice that you've drawn some identification, probably a Tipex on there or something like that. So no doubt when you play multiplayer, you know who's who's, or maybe that's a stick. I'm not quite sure, but it looks more like Tipex to me. This one, crime-wise, it's less of the actual filth that you got on this controller. Instead, you've just got a build-up of several layers of dirt on here, which is accumulated over a century. Okay, and that certainly has tarnished this PlayStation controller. However, this one is doable and can certainly be rectified there. So I've got an option here for you. Your dirty, disgusting PlayStation controller here, which doesn't work anymore. Unfortunately, that's now going to be part of your relic collection, so I recommend that perhaps you just look after it. I'll sort it out for you, don't worry, and I'll put it in a good manner for it to perhaps be treated in a way that it should be treated. But these two can be cleaned, and there is hope for them. I would like to give you a complete and utter thorough clean here. And you didn't read the small print. Once you walk into my store, you're obliged and obligated to obviously pay full price for whatever you bring in. You will also drop something off, which means an extortionate amount of money is now going to be spent on having the most thorough clean to bring these back to tip-top PlayStation 2 controller condition. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I offer all. Have you been to me before? Have you come to see me before? You don't remember? I can't remember you anyway. You've just got one of those faces, I'm afraid. Yeah. But what I do, I allow all of the owners of the items which have been bought in to relax, watch it get being done. There's something about watching your items, your possessions, something that you love and cherish, be looked after, give it a pamper that it deserves, give it something back for all the good things it's given you. And this is the service that I like to offer to all items here, regardless of their owner. Usually we have, very experienced gamers who come in and know about games, and they love their games and equipment, and they've got a lot of money. And those are the types of people that I love to welcome in and enjoy this experience, because they appreciate what it's like to have something as special as this. You on your end don't look like you know how to appreciate that. And however, that's why I want to give you this opportunity, so you can see what a real PlayStation 2 controller is actually meant to look. So I'm going to untangle this snake of controller wire here for you, and we can begin to clean up your mess. There we go. An eternity later. So I'm going to recommend doing something which you probably should have done, okay, which is wrap up your wire around your finger and around the controller, so it's not too much of a tight circumference there for the wire. This is going to look after your wire and keep it neat, something that you feel seem to be eluded from. Okay. See how much better that is now. Okay, your PlayStation controller is compact and it's ready to get the spa treatment. This is what I'm going to enjoy working on tonight. I'm going to put it here. You cannot return or receive the item until it's now complete, so you're obliged to be a part of this process of cleaning your dirty, terrible PlayStation 2 controllers. Okay, so we have a lot of items here that I'd like to use. The first thing I'm going to do is clean this wire so we can wrap it up appropriately. What do we use for that? Here's some treated wipes here, and this is going to get that dirty grime off and hopefully unravel it a bit. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay. You could feel where this has been coiled up and just tangled itself as you move it along there, but I mean, look at that. That is the grime which has come off just your wire alone. It's kind of disgusting to see from a point of view that you haven't looked after it. That's the disgusting thing. The dirt doesn't bother me because I know that it's getting looked after now. Okay. I'll show you what I do with this first so we can then progress with the cleaning process. So I like to be nice and meticulous when it comes to cleaning PlayStation 2 controllers, and the wire is just as important. So you'll be quite surprised how many people actually neglect their wires and taking care of them. So this is going to give you a head start in that and hopefully bring you forward to the mindset of actually looking after your tech items. Okay. So when you start to get a little bit of black on there, that means because the controller's old, obviously you're going to start taking away part of the rubber because of its age. So when you get a small lining of black, that means the dirt's come off, and you should stop there and not go for any more cleaning there, which is exactly what's happened there. Okay, even though there's still some dirt on there as well. Right, so once we've given that its nice little clean, a little bit there. So what I'd like to do is just run it through. And give it a little bit of lease of life there. Think of that as a little shampoo. Okay. your dry brush here because it's the contacts which you want to look after now. And there doesn't appear to be too much dirt in there, which is good. So with my great skills here already, we've already turned this PlayStation 2 controller connector into something which looked like absolute rubbish to something that could look like it's almost just come out of its packaging. Okay, so now that has been returned to a touchable state. Now let me show you something that you should have done with your controllers a long time ago. Take my gloves off now that it's in a touchable state. Okay, should have wrapped it up like this. Okay, 4 fingers is usually good. 3 is pushing it. Okay, round we go, round we go, round we go. And if it doesn't loop like that, it just shows you how twisted it's actually been, okay, over the years. Okay, now a cable tie is a very, very simple solution to look after your PlayStation wire. And I double it up so we don't have any loose ends. And look, now your wire has been cared for and looked after. Your controller is now in a position to be thoroughly cleaned and looked after. One of the first things that I would do for it is give it an initial brush down. This is very important to get rid of all the exterior dust that has accumulated over the last however many years. How long has it been since you played your PlayStation 2 controller? How long? The other week. And that's how much dirt is. Not very nice. Right. So what I do is use one of the thicker brushes before we then move it down. But what I find, something which is very, very useful, it's just blowing off with air first. Perfect. Unlike a PlayStation 3 controller or 4 or 5 that you're always subject to hold the wire now, so it could be seen as a little bit of a nuisance, but not too much. Now, perhaps you just like a close look to see how disgusting that is, and then you will see at the end this is going to look like a brand new PlayStation controller. Hope you don't mind if I'm just going to put my mask on here, because I don't really want to have or come in contact with all your dirt. Okay. always move to a harder bristle brush. You find that once you get the excess off, you can really get down and dirty with this controller. Anywhere you see a crack, crevice, no doubt dust has been accumulated there. So the harder the bristle, the better it would be, as long as you're not going to affect the controller itself. I'm trying to do, you see the long bristles here actually go inside of the button, so you get a very deep and thorough clean and making sure that it's trying to release as much as possible. The most idyllic way to do this, of course, take apart your controller, but something as special as this, it's sometimes best to leave it intact, because if you take it apart, clean it, sometimes it doesn't have that perfect seal that you would expect now. So this is the next best option. So I'd like to add some cleaning formula here, and then we can always go back to formula if we need to. So this is the solution, which eventually it does dry off by itself, hence why you're able to use a slightly generous amount on here. So it's like a shampoo, but also with the sanitizer quality like the alcohol, so it won't really affect the controller. We want it to work in the crevices and do its thing. This will also afterwards, once we apply it again, create a nice new sheen to it with a little bit of grip, which is a product I like to use for all of my customers here, so it feels just as good as it did when you first got your PlayStation controller. Right, so we've worked here around the buttons, we've gone around the arrows, select and start. Of course, we have the analog button here. Then we've gone and taken out the dirt here around the joysticks. And notice how around all the crevices here, it's completely clean and looking like how it should have looked if it was looked after. So we'll just check it. And you can tell instantly if you know your controllers that that sounds amazing and is a great improvement. So I have my very specialist tools here for the next part of the job. This is the bit where you'll probably find the most disgusting, or I will, because it's your dirt that I'm pulling up here. However, it's the most satisfying and essential part of this cleaning process. Now that is to get in the crevices and really take all of that dirt off there. So what I have is a brush here to brush it away. Okay, we move that there, and then we'll look into the brushing again. So you will see in here that dirt, it is everywhere. We're going to rectify that. Okay, so let us begin. Look at that to begin with. So we'll get another wipe here, and we'll place all of those dirty bits on it there as well, just as a gentle reminder of what's actually collected in your PlayStation controller there for you, and you can see how clean we're actually making it. So I'm going to place this there. Okay, I'm going to get that little dirty bit which you had here, just pop it on there for you. Okay, absolutely disgusting. Right, let's continue. I do apologise that you have to actually see this, because I'm sure no one wants to see their PlayStation 2 controller in a condition like this where it hasn't been cared for and looked after. There we go. And some wounds just go too deep. Okay, so it's always round the grip of the handle. See? Disgusting. So it's almost as if you have actively tried to put food in there or something. Right. So around here it's not so bad. It wouldn't be, because it wouldn't be so exposed. And prepare yourself. So as you can see, the dirt has now been removed from the exterior of the cracks here. So as you can see, the dirt has now been fully removed from the edge crevices here of your controller, how they connect together. So we can give that a good dust in and over in a second. What I will look towards though is using something a little bit less abrasive here, but still to get out the grimy bits. See, that looks like it's about 100-year-old chocolate there, straight up chocolate just in your controller there. I've seen, I know what everything is on these controllers. I've cleaned so many now. That is most definitely set chocolate on your controller. So you really have used your controller as almost as if it's dining utensils, condiments, shall we say. Maybe you used them as utensils to cook your food with, by the state that this controller actually is in. And it wouldn't surprise me. Okay, around the edges here. That's good. That's good. That's good. Around there. That's good. Right. That's good. Okay. So you could see here is all of that disgusting dust which came from within your controller. Okay, within. And that's just an edge which we had there. So I hope you know how really disgusting that is for probably the average person. For me, it's what I'm used to, and I actively look for that because I know that your controller is now going to be feeling better and looking better because of it. So we've had a deep clean there. Let's get a bigger brush out. These have strong bristles, and we're going to brush all of that off. As we go down the line, things like when we see PlayStation 3 controllers or PlayStation 4 and 5, obviously there's always a less build-up of the real deep grime because obviously the age of these controllers. When age comes into consideration, that means that the dust has had its layers but it's had time to seep in, set, and it can be really delicate work to try and get that out. So it could be a lost cause for some controllers, but this definitely looks like it needs a thorough scrub. Now, okay, we're going to blast away any residual dust there and dirt. Is looking a lot better now. Okay, let's get some of this out. We get our toothbrush here, get some of that foam there on there. Now let's give this controller the clean of its life. this is really the final polishing moment for your controller and finishing it off. This is basically what your PlayStation controller should have looked like if you looked after it. It's a very nice thing when you look after your things, and what we do with PlayStation 2 controllers when we give it a deep and thorough, relaxing clean is that we want it to look like it's not had a full treatment. We want it to look natural, like it's just been looked after. We don't want it polished and sparkling and looking over the top. We just want it clean, a deep, thorough clean, and to preserve the natural look of your PlayStation 2 controller, which what you're looking at right now is exactly what we've achieved to perfection here for you. All of your buttons are sparkly, they're detailed, they're nice, they're just how they should be. They function perfectly. We'll have a good test in a second. It's how it should be looked after and presented. And usually customers, when they have controllers in not too different condition to this with minor dust on there, they still bring them in because they want to get their stuff looked after and watch it be looked after as well. And someone caring for an item which they love. So this is me caring on taking care of one of your items which you no doubt loved as well. Okay, let's see that there. And finally, we give this a little bit of a polish here for you. Now we'll polish it all off, and the telltale sign to know that this is perfect now because of its sticky, grippy complexion with my gloves. It's not sticky, it's the grip. We've added a protective layer on your controller so it should really stand up to the lack of care and attention which you've given your controller. So now it should last you another decade, we hope, looked after properly. PlayStation 2 games, there's something nostalgic about it, but seeing it all nice and clean is something even better. So let's get it finished there. Obviously we can't take away the scratches and things which no doubt you threw your PlayStation controller in anger. Perhaps you managed to not get past levels and Jedi power battles or something like that, I don't know. Well, I'm going to set myself up with some new gloves here. And these are my clean gloves that we like to wear to preserve what has just been cleaned with very thorough and meticulous. Right. So here you go, your PlayStation 2 controller. So like I said, leave your other items with me. I'll get that sorted there for you because that's just an embarrassing state. But what we've done here for you to look at and enjoy is the complete transformation of your thoroughly dirty PlayStation 2 controller, and we've deep cleaned it and turned it into a thoroughly awesome and clean PlayStation 2 controller. So let's test all the buttons. Please do listen and have an appreciated sense of accomplishment. Perfect and perfect. So if you'd like to take a good look here, what we've done, we have polished up all around the crevices. We've gone underneath the joystick, taken out all of the dirt and everything that you'd find with a neglected PlayStation 2 controller like this. We have cleaned your wire here for you. It's presentable. Your connection should actually work even better. There was a little bit of dust in there. on the sides here, all of that food which you've accumulated to save for another day. I'm not quite sure what it was doing in there, but it's all now being removed. So that is a sleek black crevice you've got around your controller there, and it looks great, fresh and brand new. There's some minor scratches and things that you've bashed your controller by the looks of it, but you can always tell a lot by a gamer in the way their controller has been looked after. Yours has come under some sort of grievance, and you could tell by the scratches and the bashes where you've probably thrown it down or not put it down gently enough. All the writing has been restored here, the dirt has been removed, so that is nice to see there for your controller, because that's a mark of a nice clean controller again. All the buttons have had the bristle treatment, so everything removed in there, looking good. And now your PlayStation 2 controller is looking as it should have done for a very long time. So thank you so much for coming to bring this in. It's something I would say to a normal customer, but to you I would say your complete and utter rudeness, your lack of decorum, and your assumption of thinking that I would clean this with a note at the door is a complete shock and surprise to me still. Though I cannot see equipment and something as precious as PlayStation 2 controller be uncared for in such a way by someone who is so inept to know the importance of what you've actually got. Okay, so I hope you found that as relaxing as your controller has. Your controller is looking great. Would you like me to put that in the bag there for you? Of course. In the hopes that it might survive a little longer away from all your food exploits. And there we go. So just leave me your controller for, I don't know, 2 more nights so I can give it a real proper clean. If you want to come in and watch and relax that, feel free to come back to me anytime and relax to some pure, satisfying cleaning. Because cleaning is a very relaxing thing, and that's what we specialize here in our cleaning store right next to the game store. Is there anything else I can do? I'm just thinking out loud. I don't mean for you, I'm just thinking out loud. Anything else I can do? No, I don't think there is, so do take care of that. Payment, I'm sure you can sort out. Okay, take care of yourself. Cheerio.